Hey everyone, my name is Megan. Welcome back to my garden. Today is September 6th. I don't know how that happened, but the garden is ready for me. Finally, we have a lot of determinate varieties of tomatoes this year, and with those, a whole lot of them are ripe all at the same time, which I was expecting, but I was also expecting earlier in the year, so I don't have as many helpers ready for me as I would have liked. Today we're going to do a garden tour along with a harvest. So I don't really have time for just a garden tour because we have a relatively large storm predicted, a traditional nor'easter if you're on the eastern seaboard or Atlantic coast. You know all about these storms. They come in quite quickly sometimes, bring a lot of wind, a lot of rain, and with the ripe fruit that I have on the tomatoes at the moment, I don't want that. I want to get as much weight off the branches as I can so we don't have any breakage, and I want to get ripe or almost ripe fruit harvested so they don't split on the vines, and that they're still as usable as possible. So I've got a whole bunch of baskets and some boxes behind me, and let's get to harvesting. All right, so much like a garden tour, we're just going to go down each row and see what we've got. This is our first row with our Hungarian hot waxes. It is a weedy hot mess at the moment. This was grass last year, so not surprised to see this. This one I've already harvested, but this one has some nice ripe fruit. I can just pop off here because they are ready. So we still got some peppers on here. I would expect that these ripen soon. Some little babies over here. They're still all doing okay. These next ones are our cayennes. So these cayenne peppers are still very green. We've got the same on the plant over here and down the row. So I'm not going to check on them. They need to stay on the plant even through this storm so that they can hopefully finish ripening. So next, on to some tomatoes. So these two rows, we've got Paul Robson's and Fundy. Paul Robson's is an indeterminate variety of really big beefsteaks. And, well, this guy is still pretty green. We're gonna take him inside. I've got a box that you would usually use for harvesting strawberries. And we'll let these ones ripen inside. Some of these guys already have some splitting and some cat facing. I don't want them to split any more than this, if possible. So I'm gonna bring them in before that big rain event. This one is just loaded. More. There's still a lot of green ones on those plants, so I'll have to leave quite a few of them. These Fundy tomatoes, or pardon, these are the cosmonauts, and I keep getting confused this year because they're so big. Usually these are much more like paste size for me, maybe the size of a baseball, not a softball, so they're huge this year. Another really big basket. These are all cosmonauts. This is why I brought a box to the garden. It's full. On this side we have cosmonauts, and on this side we have Paul Robsons. So certainly a big difference in the looks of the tomatoes, at least to me. Let's get going on our next row. Okay, so on this side we've still got cosmonauts. I'm going to go through and double check some of the ones I couldn't quite reach and see if they are ready. It is a debate for some of them whether they're ready or if they should stay out. I am going to risk some of them and leave them out because I much prefer vine ripened tomatoes when I can get them. These guys are still really firm, so I don't anticipate too much splitting, and I'm going to come check, just after the rain. But these are fundies. They are a determinate variety, and they are coming ready. Some of them are lighter than others. Used a whole bunch of these in my pizza sauce this week. And I'm surprisingly happy with them. I said in the spring these were my boring tomatoes. I still stand by that, but they're a bit meatier than what I anticipated. They ripen to red. They're, a globe shape. They're not fluted. They're not especially heirloom. They've produced better than I thought they might. And they're nice little squat plants. I'll probably put a fair amount of these in pots in the future, knowing that they can handle a smaller space. Another very full basket. We got our first Granny C's of the season. So these are Granny Chanterelles. They're pretty fluted. Nice heirloom tomato. They should be a bit darker red, but I'm sure they'll ripen up on the counter. All right. This disaster is my tomatillos. They should really be trellised a lot better, and I think I might start using a net instead of the lower and lean method for these, because I'm not pruning them to a single leader. When they get heavy with fruit, I would rather have them clipped so the netting has some airflow. A lot of these have ended up lying on the ground, which is okay, but it's harder for me to tell when I've got like ripe fruit and I really got to get down here on the ground for harvesting, which is not my personal preference. These are our yellow ones. If you leave them long enough, they can ripen to a yellow tomatillo. I tend to harvest them a bit young because I'm impatient. They're not quite splitting the husk yet, but these guys are pretty ready, and I'm gonna take them in. I don't want them to fall on the ground this weekend and then get really saturated or eaten by bugs after that rainstorm. So we're harvesting. Some of them are split. And some of these I'm just gonna wrap them and hope for the best this weekend. Not the best thing to be doing so late in season, but these ones were very, very slow to set fruit this year. All right, this is what I've got for tomatillos. Last year I was harvesting full baskets like this every 2 days, so I don't know what happened to the plants this year. They're just not as happy. I think I'm gonna spend some good amount of time this year amending my soil. I'm gonna apply some lime and then do a soil test, I think, in the spring, and further amend it if needed. I did a soil test last year. It said everything was fine. Things are growing, but some things are not thriving. All right, so I got some peppers in this row. I planted them really late. Some things aren't ready, but some things I saw were. Like a Hungarian hot wax. And what I believe is a King of the North sweet pepper. On this side we have our other row of Paul Robsons, and lots of them are ready. I really could have been out here much earlier this week and gotten some that are ripe and have been ripe, but I was busy with other things, so they hung out. Hello, garden spider. I'm so sorry, I need to reach in. Don't hate me. Whole ton. So this garden bed is not any cleaner than the last time you saw it. I did not replant on that side, but I do have some jalapenos that are ready. Got some bug damage, in fact. Quite a few that are starting to turn red, so you get some black spots on them. Just want to make sure I'm lightening up these plants prior to all that wind that we're going to get. And I will use these to make salsa verde. Alright, I got some bonus cherry tomatoes while I was down there. Next row. Alright, I said next row, but nothing in this row is ripe right now. I have gotten a few cherry tomatoes off those plants. They look really happy. They're setting a lot more fruit, and I'm just praying for good weather here into the end of September. And if we get that, we're going to have a whole lot of cherry tomatoes ready for fresh eating. Our strawberry green stalks and our herb green stalks are still here. There's not much going on in them at the moment. I need to come up with a plan of how I'm going to overwinter these. I don't know where to put them because I don't have a garage or shed that they're going to fit in. Also debating just maybe moving those to in-ground. Not sure if it's too late yet. Herbs are going okay. I might take a quick peek down there and see if there's anything we can bring in. right, I got a lot more down there than I thought I would. I harvested some coriander seeds. Some of them look a little overdone, but I had kind of forgotten that those cilantro coriander seeds were out there. I got some thyme, some parsley, and a little bit of sage. Pretty ruthless this time of year, just bringing in what I can get. The herbs are mostly done with the cooler weather that's coming, except for the parsley that likes the cooler weather. Alright, I never replanted this bed either. I honestly got a little bit busy with the garden this year, and because I had so many things fail in here, I didn't want to just replant. I have, however, decided that I'm going to amend that bed with some compost, and I'm going to plant my garlic here this year. It's done really well for me in the past because when the trees lose all their leaves, it does get quite a bit good sun coverage. It also drains really well, and the garlic's done well before, and I didn't have any pest issues. This would be the 3rd season, so it's also been well rotated. So surprisingly, I did a rotation well, and that's where I'm going to plant the garlic this fall. This bed here in front of us was that first bed that I planted peppers in, and I can now confidently say that I planted them out too early, and they definitely stunted. I have a lot of other peppers that are just doing significantly better, and some of them were planted a month later than this bed. So that's something I'm going to be more cautious of next year. Really waiting for those soil temps to warm up. I'm going to get myself a soil thermometer and be a little bit more scientific about it next year. But for now, let's go see if there's anything down here. I think we have a few really small jalapenos and not much else. For a 50-foot row, that's really sad. That was a really small jalapeno that's becoming ripe. These guys are getting ripe also, so I brought them in. We'll do better next year. Alright, this is my row of Toma Verde tomatillos. I've gotten a few and they are very good size. They're so much larger than my Amarilla tomatillos. However, they're also much slower to ripen. Larger fruit just takes longer. I'm hopeful that we're going to get a lot. We've got a lot of flowers, a lot of lanterns, and some immature fruit. We're going to go through and see if any of it's come to fruition yet. Maybe lighten up these plants a bit before this windstorm. I've already had one fall over and split, and maybe I'll take you down there and show you that after. But for now, let's get to harvesting. My really scientific method is to shake, and if it feels heavy, go in search of the one that's ready. These are all still like not ready at all. So slow. Before the camera died, this basket of tomatillos is what I managed to harvest from that row. Some of them were very ready, some of them were close and easily came off the vine, so I took those as ready. So certainly not the harvest of tomatillos like I've had in the past, but for now that'll be enough to make a few more batches of salsa, and luckily I still have a fair amount left over from last year. So this row here is a big row of tomatoes, and there's some peppers at the end. So I think I'm going to take you along a bit closer as I harvest for these ones, because I have a lot of different varieties in this row. So these are the Furwick tomatoes, very evidently ready, nice and stripy. Really like these guys. This one's not quite right yet, but it will be. This one, these ones. Really nice big one. These are some extra goldy tomatoes. They're down here. They're really green, so I'm sure they're blending right in, but they are not ready yet. Beside those, we have the black strawberry tomatoes, and I don't think I've harvested any of these. They're quite a good size, but they're still very green on the bottom. That one just came right off. Usually with these purple ones, you wait until the bottom ripens to red, and I'm not seeing that on any of these as of yet, so they are staying on the plant even though the weather's not going to be great. These are my sun gold cherries, nice orange tomatoes. Got a couple ready. And if you're seeing the blight on the plants, that's just this time of year, and I've not been out here enough, so yeah, there is blight. These are midnight snacks. They're some of my favorites, and you can see even though they're purple, instead of the green on the bottom, we've got red. This one's turning yellow, so it'll be ready in a few days. These guys have such a nice deep flavor. They're definitely still need some more time. I have this plant labeled as a tigerilla, but I was expecting tigerilla to be a grape-sized tomato. That's certainly not what that is, so I need to go back at my list and look and see. I think maybe this was a cosmonaut or something else that got mixed in. This is more what I expected for the tigerilla. It's a stripy tomato. I don't know. Hey miss, can we be all done, big barks? Yeah? Thank you. These guys are, again, not what I expected from this. The tags are still there, but they're so faded I can't remember what I put where. So these guys are also labeled tigerilla, and these are stripy like I would anticipate. So these ones beside it are also labeled tigerilla. I think they're cosmonauts, and I think they just got mixed in. These are still really big, more grape-sized tomatoes than cherries. Lots of sun golds. Oops. All right. And on to peppers, and you can't see. Okay, now you can see. So these are what I believe are my purple Marconi peppers. These are the shape and the color that I was expecting, but I was expecting them to be significantly larger. So I need to go back and check my notes, maybe see what size they were supposed to be, but they're ready. I'm going to take these in and we're going to start making some fajita packs for later in the winter when we need sweet peppers, onions, and things. I do have some King of the North sweet peppers here too. They're getting a bit larger, but they are not ready yet. They're still very solidly on the vine. These plants should be nice and robust because they're so short, and we're just going to leave them as it is. So this mess here is surprisingly intentional. I have some yellow patty pan squash that are just starting. Lots of flowers on these plants and a few little baby squash. I planted these really late knowing that they were a short day to maturity. And in this mess we also have some mustard. You can see that it's flowering. I planted these from microgreen seeds, and I'm just hoping to harvest some more mustard seeds and keep replanting them. They're a good cover crop for where garlic was. It's supposed to help prevent some wireworms, so we'll give that a shot. So far it's just some nice yellow flowers. Alright, this row of peppers has a lot going on. We're finally getting some of these roulette peppers set some fruit. There's still so many flowers. They're taking much longer to come to maturity than I anticipated, but that's okay. We do have some things to harvest. We've got some Amish pimento peppers. They're just starting to change color. I would love if they had fully changed color, but I'm going to lighten up some of these plants. Not all of them. This one's starting to turn orange. Still lots of fruit on this plant. This one's starting to turn red. I'll probably save some seeds from these guys. Whole lot of peppers. Tomatoes and cherry tomatoes are hiding in there too. This weedy 10-foot mess is actually a whole lot of herbs. There's cilantro, parsley, dill, and probably some other things hiding in here. We've got some Swiss chard that you can see desperately needs to be weeded, but it's surprisingly productive. So I'm going to harvest some things like the sage that's sticking up over here and bring that in too. Might as well just do a full harvest. Cilantro. The cilantro is still really small. I think the only thing it's getting harvested right now for is maybe some tacos. So that kind of sucks. Is this mint? Basil. Forgot I planted that. Can't even see in this weedy mess. I thought it would be better than to plant mint in the garden. Sage just keeps on giving her. It overwintered from last year and it's doing really, really well. So these will go in the dehydrator. As part parsley hiding in here. It's still really small. I just want it to get well established for the winter. I do have some fresh dill. And I'm hoping that maybe I might get some cucumbers to make pickles with the dill. So that's where we're at with our harvest. And that was a garden tour. If you guys like this content, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.